33 arrests, and total number of firearms were 8 that we seized during this operation. Through our investigation so far, we have found out that the city of Hitchcock is deriving about roughly $800,000 to $900,000 annually from these game rooms that is going into part of their annual budget. The investigation still continues. I'm fixing to turn it over to Lieutenant Smitty Hill, who runs our organized crime task force. He's going to give you some details, and then we'll circle back for questioning later on.
Good morning. So everybody's here. We all know that we executed some search warrants here in Hitchcock. We executed roughly 21 of them, 20 of which were on game rooms that we used a variety of techniques to enter and infiltrate as far as conducting a criminal activity. So like the sheriff said, 749 game machines, 417,000 in cash, 33 arrests, and 8 firearms. Like he said, the investigation is ongoing. There will be more arrests in the future here tied to this case.
Good morning, everybody. Sergeant Mitchell Stevenson, Major Crimes Unit, Galveston County Sheriff's Office. On February 18th, we served a search warrant at Hitchcock City Hall relating to the progression of these investigations for documents and evidence relating to the investigations. We conducted interviews with several city officials while on scene and ultimately left with additional documents and evidence pertaining to these investigations at Hitchcock City Hall.
Morning, I'm the Galveston County District Attorney, Kenneth Cusick, last name C-U-S-I-C-K. The efforts by the Galveston County Sheriff's Office shows what efforts going to be made in this county to detect, investigate, disrupt, and prosecute organized criminal activity. With the 33 arrests, this is an extensive operation in one city within the district, within the county, in which all of these game rooms are operating. With the number of arrests and the seizures of the 745 machines that occurred, that's a strong statement that this is not going to be tolerated in the county. We're not going to just, this office, the district attorney's office, is not going to just go after low-level cashiers and people like that making payouts on illegal gaming operations. We're going to go for the whole operation. And that's what the Galveston County Sheriff's Office did in this case. They identified who was operating these game houses, where the locations were, and they basically disrupted their operations this past Wednesday with the search warrants that were executed. My office will prosecute to the full extent of the law these people, and there's an ongoing investigation. This just began the investigation, but I can tell you right now that the district attorney's office is going to fully investigate this case, and the evidence and that's produced out of this investigation will lead us to any other elements that are involved in this organization that weren't arrested the other day. And that would include city officials, any other officials that would be involved, and any other persons operating, financing, or operating these game rooms. So thank you.
Okay. And I want to clarify something. You know, we've had a lot of reports. Why are you going and knocking down these mom and pop gaming businesses? The people are just going up there to spend some time, spend a little bit of money, this, that, and the other. The criminal elements that come along with this, you got narcotics trafficking going on, you got aggravated assaults happening outside these places of business. Money is the root of all evil. People know these game rooms have a lot of money. They know people walking out, chances are they got money in their pocket. There have been aggravated robberies going on in Hitchcock that have not been reported, that we've heard about. We've hired officers, former officers from the Hitchcock Police Department that are giving us all this information about the robberies and the assaults that occurred outside these gaming establishments. So it's not just your mom and pop gaming places. It brings a criminal element. You got prostitution, illegal narcotics trafficking. Like I say, you saw we have the weapons that we recovered from some of these places. So again, it's not just your mom and pop place. These are criminal enterprises, and we're going to shut them down. And we are going to reach out to the feds, if need be, to help them come in and do some audit trails and maybe bring in the IRS to help us out with some of these things, revenues that are not being reported legally. And I'm sure Kenneth, with his contacts as a federal prosecutor for 37 years, I'm sure he'll be able to reach out to his federal partners to help come in and do a forensic audit of the city of Hitchcock and everything that's going on there. With that being said, I'd like to introduce Captain Tommy Maffey, Captain Kelsey Miller, and also Megan Jones from the DA's office. She was on scene assisting us the entire time, making sure everything was done appropriately. So with that being said, and Mel Villarreal, my chief deputy, he introduced himself earlier. With that being said, we'll open it up to questions.
Sheriff, let me ask you right off the bat and related to the mayor being arrested in that. According to the probable cause affidavit used, and he's one of the 5 folks with felonies, that text messages between him and one of the employees referred to payouts from the games and the like. Can you elaborate, or maybe Mitchell, someone can handle that?
I'll answer that. We don't want to jeopardize the integrity of the case. We don't want to jeopardize the integrity of the case. So like the sheriff said and Mr. Cuse said, this is an ongoing investigation. We do expect additional charges to come out of this. So as much as we'd like to share those intimate details, we just can't at this point in investigation. There's a lot of work to do in this investigation. This is just the initial stages of it. So we can't answer those specific questions for ETJ right now.
Right, what I'm trying to get to though, Sheriff, you said you had a meeting with the mayor and the city manager.
That is correct. No, I did not say the city manager. I said the mayor.
The mayor? Okay,
Yes.
just the mayor. The city
Yes.
manager was there?
No.
Was the police chief in that meeting as well?
No.
Okay, so when you had the meeting with the mayor at that time, did he acknowledge at all that he had 8-liners in his business?
Absolutely not. In fact, what the mayor told me during that meeting was that they were doing every effort they can to reduce the number of permits they were going to issue within the city of Hitchcock, down to, I believe, the number was 8. As you can see, we hit 20 establishments. So clearly that wasn't the case.
And the focus too, as you said, that a lot of these were the smaller, that they pay $100 a year to the city and stuff. How deep does this go into City Hall, do you think?
Where did you get that number, $100 a year?
According to the Hitchcock City ordinance, if you're in a business that has 5 or less,
Okay.
you only pay $100 a year for the licensing. If you have 5 or more, you have to pay the full game room fee. So a convenience store pays $100 per machine per year if they have 5 or less. The Washateria would be one of those places. That's according to the city ordinance from there. The rest of the money, obviously, is $5,000 for a game room, but those smaller operations don't have to have that. But since most of those are on that, that's still a lot of that. That's why I was talking about, that's based on the city's own ordinance and their fee schedule that was adopted in 2024 that you referenced about the mayor saying, well, we're trying to crack down. That was, they said, was the reason they did that, raise up the fees and everything else, was to eliminate. It actually didn't increase.
It actually increased, yes.
And that's why I was asking if he acknowledged that he himself had the game.
No, he did not.
D.A. Cusick, if I can ask you real fast, you talked about we're not going after, just the clerks and everything else. We did hear from some of the folks that were arrested, a guy during his magistrate saying, hey, I was just the doorman. He was at a game room. But the others, we talked to 2 folks yesterday who were arrested who were clerks, they say. And they never saw any payouts or anything. How will those be cases that, this comes down to time to kind of weed them out? Or are these folks targeted, or they were there at the time, and that's why the charges were accepted?
Well, I'm not going to comment on what decisions were made at the time, only to tell you that, again, there's an ongoing investigation. We'll evaluate all the evidence, and there will be additional arrests, but at this time, I'm not going to give details that would indicate who we may be targeting and who we may not be targeting at this time. But I would also add that Sheriff Fullen was absolutely correct in that, based on my federal experience, I'll be coordinating with federal authorities. So if there were federal violations of law, such as money laundering or tax evasion, tax violations, that will be part of the scope of what is looked at.
And I know neither one of you was in office at the time, but Sheriff, you were the constable in that West County area at the time. About 5-6 years ago, I know the county judge and the chief had a meeting and tried to get the Texas Rangers involved on that. Were you a part of those meetings?
I was not, sir.
And I know, Megan, were you part of those times?
No, I
Okay.
was not.
Then we won't go any further on that.
Can he still remain being the mayor while facing these charges?
Depends on what the city charter says. I have no idea what the city charter says. And the school district, they put out a statement yesterday acknowledging the fact that they know about it, and they're going to evaluate it because it's a personal matter, and whatever decision they make, they make.
And you said this has been going on for a couple months? You guys kind
Yeah.
of started this investigation?
Yeah, we actually had our meeting back in October with the mayor personally, and then it went on from there.
Can I ask though, just only because in Hitchcock, code enforcement does the actual licensing and the stuff. Why meet with just the mayor when the city manager has the authority in that city?
Wait a minute, what was the question, TJ?
So they changed their form of government.
Yes,
City
to a city manager
runs
form of
the
government,
day-to-day.
yes.
Why not meet with her as well as the chief at the time when you're, that initial meeting in October?
Because, I mean, people came to me and they said, we actually went to the mayor, so that's where I went, straight to the horse's mouth.
Sheriff, can you, when I was talking to people out there, I know that you had met with him in October. One woman laughed, saying, everyone knew that this was going on. One woman said to me, quote, "They knew it was going on. How could you not? The police station is right there. They go up and down the streets. They could see all the gambling establishments right here. Why did it take so long for something like this to happen?"
Well, I mean, that might be a question you might want to ask the chief of police of Hitchcock. Because once it was brought to our attention and the complaints started coming to us, we went in and took action. So you might want to go ask Chief Smitty Hill.
But you've been in office for more
I'm not Smitty Hill, I'm sorry. Ask Chief Hill up in Hitchcock.
You've been in office for more than a year. When did your office learn about this?
We started getting our complaints in October, and that's when we went and met with the mayor.
And at that time, when you say complaints, how voluminous were those complaints?
I would say a handful, and not just citizens, it was also local business people complaining.
But you were aware it was a problem too in the area. You just thought the city would do
Yeah.
a better job of
Yeah.
handling it.
Sheriff, you had an operation here in Galveston about a month ago, now in Hitchcock. Are you eyeing other locations?
I'm not even going to answer that question. I can't believe you asked that question.
Are you even like shocked that something like this is happening? I mean, with the
Well,
mayor being involved and he's also with the school board, is it a little shocking?
I will tell you this, I was thoroughly convinced, and so was my chief deputy, when the mayor said that they were addressing it and they were going to address the problem. And when I found out that we had an actual warrant on him, it surprised me, it really did.
And you said more arrests could be coming.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's it, guys. That's all the questions we're going to answer for today. Thank y'all for coming out. We'll fill you in as we get more details. Thank you.